owner, well, instead of a hobby, means that you're generating an income. You're generating profits, really. And the IRS, when you operate at a loss for so many years, the IRS doesn't take a liking to that, I don't think. Um, but what if you're in business? Why should you be on that profit, roller coaster? That, being, with that cash flow that's just, "I had a really great month, and, oh, geez, this month. Oh, what am I gonna do?" Why should you be there? Well, you shouldn't be there, and that's why today on Make It Click, my guest is Heather Zeitwolfe. Heather is a profit strategist, and okay, so we're talking numbers here, and the interesting thing about my guest, Heather, is that she's a CPA. Oh, boy, a real numbers person. Now, I have bookkeeping in my background, but not that deep as far as a CPA goes. CPA and project manager. Um, I'm thinking those tend to be a little dry topics and not exciting and fun. So this should be a wonderful conversation, Heather, to have you here to show our audience that numbers can be fun.
They certainly can be fun, and I try to put the fun in financials. So, yes, for the people that can't see me, I have pink hair. I love to have props. So, if you're seeing the visuals, you can see that I have a hat that's blingy and says party on it. So, I like to bring the fun and party to business because, as entrepreneurs, it can be a lonely road, especially if we're stuck in our heads and we're not in a community and on that cash flow roller coaster, those highs and lows. And we don't want to be on those cash flow roller coasters because if we can't predict what's going to be happening in our business, what can happen is that high on that roller coaster can go to such a low that you end up on what I call the bankruptcy bus. And we don't want to be on the bankruptcy bus. We want to be smooth sailing on the seas. No matter how choppy the water gets, we want to be just smooth sailing. And and a lot of that comes from having predictable profits in our business, having recurring income so that we have more predictability, but there's also other things that we need to put in place
Yeah.
so that we can
Well,
be on
it's
the smooth
interesting.
sailing
You went
seas.
from land on the roller coaster to the smooth sailing sea, and we're in summer now. So, geez, isn't that where people really want to be, at the ocean and on the water? Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope our listeners are paying attention to this, so they can get to the beach too. Heather, in your history of working with clients and being a CPA and whatnot, is there anything that you see happening over and over again, when somebody decides to start their own business, of what mistakes are they making from the beginning that puts them into that roller coaster?
Yeah. Well, part of it is being, people get into business because they have a passion for something. They may not have any kind of bookkeeping background like you've had, or the financial part of it. It's not the sexy. They don't see it as a sexy part. Like they like the marketing and those types of things because it's more visual. They can kind of see those types of things. With the financial part, it's it's easy to turn a blind eye to that and not pay attention to it until tax time, and unfortunately, if you do that, then you can't make really good decisions in your business because that's after the fact. Once you get that tax bill, it's like there's not much you can do about the past. So I believe that what you track and you look at, you can impact. So
Mm.
I like to liken this to the Count from Sesame Street. I've got a prop. The Count. Oh. I want you to be the count in your business. I want you to be counting 1, 2, 3. I don't want you to be Mr. Snuffleupagus. Remember Mr. Snuffleupagus? He used to hide from things. So I don't want you to be Mr. Snuffleupagus. I want you to be the counts. I want you to take power in counting things in your business. So not only is that your financials, but it can be other things as well, other kind of data indicators that are in your business. And don't be afraid. I want you to be empowered by your numbers. So I believe in making things fun and gamifying. So, it doesn't have to be that dry, horrible, like, spreadsheets. If you're not into spreadsheets, don't do spreadsheets. I believe in doing what works for you. I work with a lot of people that are in the creative field, and so they don't like the numbers. They don't like the confinement of a spreadsheet,
Mhm,
and confinement, it's like it feels like a diet or something, like budgets and all that. If that's not your thing, then use something visual. So I love to gamify. I like to have whiteboards and stickers, and I even use online tools where it's so I'm not using actual physical paper, but I'm using online tools like Miro where you can put um digital sticky notes places and stuff. So anything that will help you track that you can get on board with, that is I believe, do what works for you, but do it.
yeah. Well, I hope our listeners realize that there's something you did not mention there, and that's, just checking the balance in your checkbook
Mm.
as an indicator. I've heard that before when somebody says, "Well, I always know what's in my checking account." I was like, "Oh, no, that is not an indicator."
Okay, so yes, I would love this is one of my favorite topics because this comes up so much because again, with the cash flow roller coaster, looking at your bank balance, that's just a snapshot in time. That can change in a second. As soon as certain transactions come through, that bank balance has changed. So,
Mhm,
I hear people like, "Oh, I got to check my ATM to see what my balance is like." Okay, but what about all the bills that you have that are coming in that we set up a lot of stuff on auto pay, and so that stuff can just like change in a second. And
mhm,
then if you're not looking at how much money is coming in, you don't know if you're going to be able to cover the bills that are also coming in. So we want to be able to track this stuff. So yes, if you can use bookkeeping software, if your business is at that level where it makes sense to like invest in bookkeeping software. Some people are running very tiny businesses and then like bookkeeping is just like sometimes when they put their stuff into bookkeeping software and they don't know what they're doing, they kind of can make it into a bigger mess. And
mhm.
so I encourage people to kind of, talk to someone that's a professional and see where you're at and what will work for you. But yeah, we want to be tracking this stuff, not just looking at the bank balance for sure.
Right, and like you say, being able to track it, and you mentioned, tax season earlier, and it's not, well, I have everything in a box, and I take it to my accountant at tax season, and they can weed through it. I'm surprised how many people I hear are still doing that.
Yeah,
Um,
and unfortunately, when, some people come to me, they've got several years that they
mhm,
haven't even filed, and the longer you wait, the bigger the interest and penalties and all of that, and, I have a no shame approach, so I feel like I've seen a lot of different things that come and when people come, they're like, "I'm so ashamed," it's like, "Don't be ashamed," and, it's okay. We just need to work it out and just figure things out and we can clean it up and make it better and then move forward and then you can actually be able to make more of an impact in your business. So, if you're in one of those situations where it's like you've got several years sitting there and you're like, "Oh my god," and the stuff is piling up, just as one of my clients said, "I gotta put on my big girl panties and face the facts," and, when we did that, I things were better than she anticipated. So, and if that is the case, y if things are good, you are gonna owe tax, so it's best to just get it cleaned up and good. You don't wanna be messing with the IRS, So, if
yeah,
you're listening from another country, I'm sure you have some sort of other kind of tax I mean, death and taxes, right? They're everywhere, so we can't avoid them. But if you are dealing with the IRS, just put your big girl pants on, big boy pants on, or non-gender pants, whatever you're wearing, and get it filed and start anew, and you'll feel so much better. You don't wanna be a stressed out person on that cash flow roller coaster. You wanna be on that smooth sailing sea and take a vacation.
yeah, and I believe, like with anything that you do in your business, when you mentioned marketing earlier, it's like you have this list of things you need to get done, and you're not getting them done, and it's weighing on your mind. It
Yes.
it's it all of these things on your mind are really holding you back, and when you think of when you get your financials straight, that feeling of relief, of release, it's tremendous. It's with anything in your business, but especially when it comes to your financials.
Oh,
It
yeah. I mean, I've had clients come to me, like, in tears, crying, like, when they first meet, they were like and it's like, I sometimes I feel like I'm a therapist, because it's like, I see and, they're at their they're telling me things that they wouldn't feel comfortable telling a family member or a priest or, like any like because we don't talk about our finances. That's like secret stuff.
Mhm.
And I take that very seriously. I have a very deep relationship with my clients and I want them to feel like they can be open and honest with me because we have to we have to be open and honest with the IRS, right? So I have to know the whole situation. And once, we start digging into it, I can be like, "Okay, yeah, we can get this done," or whatever. I've had people just be like, "Oh my god, you have no idea the weight I've been carrying around for years, and now you've made me feel so much better." So,
Yes.
yeah, it's just
Yes.
get it done.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you just say, "Just get it done." Yeah, sure, right away. Time-wise, I want our listeners to understand it's not something they have to take a week off from growing their business to put everything in place. I mean, it's a gradual thing. So
Yeah.
can you speak a little bit to, how much time should we be putting into, our numbers?
Oh, well, it depends on the level of business that
Mhm,
you have, how many if you have employees, if you have contractors, all of that. But I mean, on a weekly basis, you should be looking at least at your numbers. If you don't have things up to date like that, uh, you know, at least work with maybe like a bookkeeper or something that you can have either quarterly meetings with or meet once a month. But really, I mean, to really impact your business, you need to know what's going on. So, if you're have certain sales goals and if
mhm.
you're not looking at how many sales that you have, how would you know if you're going to reach your sales goal? So, it depends on your business, but I mean, I look at everything on a daily basis. And like I said, it depends on the level of business that you're doing. If a lot of it you're just like, I can store this in my head, maybe not. But I encourage people to at least take a moment every day and look at where you're at with your numbers. So, and it doesn't have to be like you're digging through P&Ls and balance sheets and all of that. If you are using software, there's oftentimes some sort of dashboard that you can look
Mhm.
at. And so it'll just show you like you've got so much in expense, you have so much in sales. It can be as that easy. It doesn't have to be like running massive reports every day. It could just be a dashboard.
Right, and I wanted to speak to that about the software programs, and there's numerous ones out there. There's something that's more popular than others, but yeah, we're not gonna get into the particulars of that. But when you talked about spreadsheets earlier and the software, I think that if somebody really struggles with this, that they kinda are better with an online application that syncs with their banks because that removes some of the barriers to getting the information where you can work with it. Is that
Yeah, so, yes, and, but there are some caveats to that. So, with technology, things aren't always perfect.
Mhm,
Sometimes technology tries to be predictive about things, and so they'll make the software will make some sort of predictions of as far as like, what is this transaction? Is it supposed to be office supplies or something else? So it might put it in the wrong place. Or, the banks, sometimes they disengage from the software
mhm,
and so
mhm,
transactions are actually not flowing in, and so if you're not reconciling your bank statements, you wouldn't know. So
mhm.
that's, an issue that I find, people are like, "Oh, yeah, I've got it hooked up to my bank, it's totally fine," and it's like, you go in there and it's like a hot mess. So you just never
Right.
know, and, you know, I would at least have someone that is an expert take a look at how you've set up your electronic books. There's all like you said, there's all kinds of different platforms out there. They all have pros and cons to them, but have someone look at it because accounting is two-sided. There's debits and credits. And some of the software, you think that you're doing it right, but they're not seeing the other side of that transaction, and so
Mhm,
what's happening is, like, the bank balance can get, like, out of whack because it's like people are only addressing the income and the expense, and they're not doing the other side of the transaction, so
mhm,
it can get to be a mess, so,
mhm.
just yeah, I would have someone that's a professional take a look at it every once in a while and make sure that you're on the right track. Don't wait till tax time, because then it's too late.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, I know. And with any software, there's glitches. And yeah, all too often, though, some people would think, well, it's all set up and it's just operating the way it's supposed to be. But like you say, the categorization of certain expenses and whatnot, not doing it correctly. I see that in my own system, and yeah, it happens. And that's why you have to make corrections and just not assume it's but it's just gonna do it. Doesn't
Right.
it? It's all set up and it'll be fine. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's not a set it and forget it kinda thing, no.
Yeah, yeah. Now, one thing I love about you is that you like systems like I believe in systems, and it really is key for all businesses instead of winging it. And otherwise you're losing time, and it's crazy. But sometimes you mention that word systems to a business owner, like, oh, that it sounds too confining, like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't get into business that, feel like that. What do you find with your clients when you talk about systems?
Yeah, well, of course, it's again, it sounds like a diet, right? It's just like, ugh, it just sounds just again, not sexy, right? But the truth is, when you have systems, then you can put things in place where you can repeat, like rinse and repeat certain things, and take yourself out of the business and not be the employee of the business constantly. So once we put in systems, what that means is it could be like steps to do a certain task. Yeah, and you can make a video of it if you don't like flow charts, however you like to work. I mean, the technology is incredible now, how we can just like, take a video of our screen. And I mean, it's just, I mean, that's been around for a while, but you and I we've been around
Mhm.
for a long time. So we know, like, in the past, all this stuff wasn't available. So use
Right.
technology. You can do a video of something, of steps that you do, and then hire somebody to do that for you so that you can step away from your business. So systems just means, think of it as freedom from your business. So it's not always you doing it. Also, it allows you to be more efficient. So if you have certain steps, like like for onboarding a client, I think that that's like one of the important ones, of having all the logical steps involved to make sure that the experience for the new client is something that's, you make sure that you've gotten everything that you need. So you don't want to be running back and being like, oh yeah, what was your address again? Or, oh
Mhm.
yeah, what was that again? Like, we want to decrease all the friction there for the new client. So have
Right.
systems for that. And there's all kinds of things in your business that you can have systems for, but even, um, your sales, you can have systems for. I do podcasting, you do podcasting.
Mhm.
I have steps that are involved with every single podcast, because you want to make sure that everything got done. Like, you know, have I edited this? Have I uploaded this? Have I
Mhm.
done the social media posts? And just having, I mean, it could be as easy as a checklist, but
Mhm.
I like to use software for my stuff, for my systems, and I can get extremely nerdy on this topic, so I'll hold back.
Well, that's another day. I hope our listeners have gleaned some insight into numbers and financials, and just being aware of where they're at in business, and that it can be fun, and that you really do bring the fun to it. So Heather, if someone in our audience would love to get in touch with you or learn more about you, how can they do that?
Yeah. So it's really easy. You can go to getradbiz.com. That's my website, getradbiz.com. I have a membership. It's so if you go to getradbiz.com/incubator, my membership is, we meet on Zoom several times a week. We do action sessions, we do content creation, strategy sessions, masterminds. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there, And there's also a Slack channel so you can communicate with me on a regular basis. And it's very collaborative. So if you're interested in that, you can join for there's a special deal, $47 if you want to just get in there and see how it works for 1 month. And come and play with us in the incubator. So it's only $47. So it's getradbiz.com/incubator if you want to try that out. Otherwise, you can always come hang out with me for free. I offer all kinds of different events. And so that's it. Also at getradbiz.com/events with an S, and come to some of my free workshops and hang out with me
Oh, and have some fun.
and have some fun.
What one last question for you, Heather, and this is about you and your business. And what has made it click for you over the years? When you were maybe first starting out or after you were starting to grow, is there something that comes to mind that you say that, wow, that one thing was really what turned my business into even better, even into more? Is there
Yeah, I mean,
something?
so many things. You learn so much on the entrepreneurial journey, but I would say just stepping into your authenticity is key because if we are, especially online businesses, people are seeing us as a face of our business. As a CPA, like I felt like I had to have like a suit on. I was meeting clients with suits, and it felt like I was wearing a costume. And so, once I was like, just was loud and proud about who I am. I'm goofy, I'm weird, but I'm ethical, I'm a vegan, I just let all that stuff out. And the right people started to come to me. So
Mm,
you attract your tribe if you are authentic. So
mm.
be yourself. Don't hide. And we all have like a people suffer from imposter syndrome and all of that. And I mean, we all kind of have that. You have to get over that. So it's like that authenticity, imposter syndrome. You got to kind of be authentic and let go of the imposter syndrome.
Very good advice. Thank you so much for that, Heather. And thank you so much for being my guest today on Make It Click.
Thank you so much for having me. This